too, right?
Well, we're on the air now.
There.
The thing I don't read is, oh, he is here.
Where? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
So your mic is on.
That I typically wouldn't read is the conclusion. That throws me off. I don't know why. Why we put the conclusion in the report. It's kind of. Technically, it's on there. Even if I don't
Larry?
read it, it's part of the record.
Speaking for Pat. Are you guys ready down there? You ready? And we can go ahead with that one, I
Yeah,
think?
you can go with the first one.
All right, the meeting will come to order. This is a duly advertised meeting of the Joliet Zoning Board of Appeals. In our capacity, we hear petitions for relief from the strict provisions of our city ordinance. In matters of this type, the decision of the board is final in respect that it does not go to the mayor or the city council for further action. However, if you disagree with our decision, you have recourse in the court of record. We also hear petitions for variations of land use. In matters of this type, we act as an advisory committee to the mayor and city council, making a recommendation either for or against it. The final decision on land use is made by the mayor and city council. Will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Starley? Mr. Ferguson?
Here.
Mr. Graham?
Here.
Ms. Powers?
Here.
Mr. Riggs?
Here.
Mr. Thompson?
Here.
Mr. Hennessy?
Okay. All right, we have a request to move up petition 2017-18, Maureen Firm and Sue Reynolds. Are they here? Petitioners here?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Mike Schwarz, Planning Division. I'll summarize the report for you, and then we'll take testimony from the petitioner. The city's Neighborhood Services Division has concluded their most recent rental inspection on this property, and it should be noted that all violations have been abated by the petitioner for both structures. The Neighborhood Services Division is prepared to grant a 4-year rental inspection certificate pending this zoning approval. This is petition number 2017-18, Maureen Firm and Sue Reynolds for 209 through 211 North Center Street, a variation of use and variations. The petitioner is requesting a variation of use to allow continuation of a 7-unit apartment building at 209 and a single-family house on 211 on one lot in an R4 multifamily residential use in an R2 single-family zoning district, and a series of variations to allow 2 primary structures on one lot and on lot area per family from 2,500 square feet to 1,554 square feet. According to the petitioners and available Supervisor of Assessments information, the property was constructed with the 7-unit apartment and single-family house in the 1920s. Based on the city zoning map from 1939, the property maintained multiple family residence zoning at that time. It was noted as a multifamily, 7 and more family, and 2-family use within the existing land use category that was part of the Cathedral Area Preservation Plan from 1975. At that time, the property maintained B1 neighborhood business zoning, which allowed multifamily uses. In 1998, the property was reclassified from B1 zoning to R2 single-family residential in order to take action against a previous property owner. 2 previous variation of use requests were withdrawn by the petitioner in 2000 and 2001. This case was filed on February 22, 2017. Surrounding zoning, land use, and character are commercial B1 to the north and south, and to the east is residential, which is zone B1 and R2, and to the west is residential, zoned B1. The standards for granting a variation or finding of a variation are provided in your report. Comments from other city departments, governmental agencies, and public utilities. The Community Design Review Board met at its monthly meeting of May 4th, 2017. Minutes of the meeting are available. For discussion, the 7-unit apartment is a brick building that has 3.5 floors. There are 2 units on levels 2 through 4 and 1 unit in the lower level. The 1-bedroom units are identical and include a kitchen, dining room, living room, and 1 bathroom. The single-family frame house has 3 bedrooms. It includes a kitchen, living room, dining room, and 2 bathrooms. It was converted back to single-family by the petitioner from a 2-unit use at the request of the city around 1999. Adequate off-street parking is available within the rear parking lot for 13 vehicles. 209 North Center Street has been on the city's Neighborhood Services Inspection Program for quite some time and has recently received 4-year certificates under the existing petitioners. 211 North Center Street has not been on the inspection program since 2011, but recently was added back on. It was recently inspected with only a few minor violations being noted. There is a list attached to your report. A reinspection of the property is scheduled for May 5th after the writing of this staff report, and as I had mentioned earlier, that has now taken place. A 4-year rental inspection certificate would be granted pending the variation of use and approval by the City Council. That concludes staff's report. Our recommendation, I should say any conditions, if the zoning board desires to approve the variation of use and the variations, the following conditions would be included. 1, that any existing violations noted from the recent neighborhood services inspection be repaired prior to City Council action. 2, that the property not be expanded in the future. 3, that off-street parking would remain in the future. And 4, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and a possible revocation of this variation of use. That concludes the report.
Thank you. Could the petitioners come forward, please? I have to swear you in.
Step up, raise your right hand.
Do you swear your statements to be true?
Yes.
Okay. Do you state your name and address for the record, please? Do it in the microphone.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Susan Reynolds, 710 Lake Road, New Lenox, Illinois.
Thank you.
Maureen,
Maureen Firm, 1014 Stonegate in New Lenox.
Carl Buck, Rathbun, Servanac, and Colesville, 3260 Executive Drive, here on behalf of petitioners. Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Chairperson.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add to what,
We don't have anything to add relative to the report from staff. We don't have any deletions either. We think it's very thorough. Point out to this board that point out to this board that in the history of the classification that was recited by staff, you'll note that when this property was originally built, it was zoned for multifamily, and then through a progression of the advancement of zoning within the city, it maintained that. And at one point in time, prior to these petitioners owning the property, there was an enhancement in that zoning to make it R2 and take out the multifamily use. Since these petitioners have owned the property, not only have they maintained it and brought the maintenance up, but they actually reduced the density because the single-family home was being used for multifamily, and they, at the request of the city, reduced that from being a 2-unit to being a single unit. So they've actually tried to reduce the density on the property. They have gone through the inspection list. Everything has been brought up. And so at this time, they're asking this board to approve their request for variation and return them to the status that they were under the prior plan, which was the B1, and to allow the multifamily use.
thank you. Anybody on the board have any questions? I do. I do have a question, and maybe our police officers can answer that when it's their turn. So is there anybody out there wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone opposed? All right, here's my question then. I'm wondering, we saw the list of police calls, and I'm wondering, I understand that whoever was causing those police calls is gone now from the property, is that correct?
absolutely.
That's correct, and I did have a chance to review those as well because staff did. I know I'm coming in a little late in the game on this petition, but staff did provide me with their report, and so I did have a chance to review that with them. Many of the loud noise issues were the predominant complaint that was in there. Those issues are addressed, and what I also confirmed was, aside from the fact that those tenants, as a violation of their lease for violating the law, were then evicted, I also was able to confirm that when the petitioners have been advised of problems, they've cooperated with the police and they've taken the steps necessary to address those concerns.
But I'm seeing a lot of complaints a lot of calls for the same complaints, and I guess I'm wondering why it took so long to evict this tenant. It seemed like they went on for well over a year. I don't know, do our police officers have anything to say about that? Yes, no? And do we have this is the current list. There were no additions to this, these calls for service after we got them last month. This is a current list.
Yes, that is up to date.
That is up to date, the one that we just got. Okay. Right. I need to swear you in.
Okay.
Do you swear your statements to be true?
I do.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Larry Collins, 150 West Washington.
Pat Blatty at the same address, 150 West Washington Street.
Pat is the neighborhood officer that works that area and probably has a better knowledge on exactly what's going on there. Just in a quick review of the calls for service this year, we've had 31 calls for service since January 1st. Most of them are loud music. I think out of the 31, we're looking at 29 nuisance calls. There's been a couple of arrests that I pulled, but those were domestic related, and I'm not sure. Maybe Pat can give you an idea on which apartment that the loud music or the problem was coming from. But like I said, there was 2 arrests that was domestic related, and unless I've seen some type of tenant list, I wouldn't know.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Hello. I am the neighborhood officer for the Cathedral area, and I can attest to the number of calls that we get at this address. I have tried to work with Sue and Reynolds in the past. She's been the owner for a number of years. And I know this probably isn't the venue. I have written it up for abatement on several occasions. We've had people there in the past that were connected with drug sales in the area. When I have gone to Sue, she has gotten rid of the tenants. Sometimes takes her a while. The loud noise complaints are the biggest account for the number of calls this year. And a lot of times the people that are calling don't give an address. They give the address of 209 North Center. However, they don't give us an apartment number. And when we get there, we don't. Most of the officers that show up can't locate the source of the loud music. So a number of the calls we can't attribute to any one particular apartment building or apartment, and other than the tenant that she is getting rid of for us with the domestic issues. I continue to work with Sue. She does show up on the property quite a bit. I know she tries, but it is a 6-unit, and I think she's overwhelmed at times with some of the stuff. What I would ask is that she continue to screen her tenants.
Is that something that you do regularly? Through the police department? You use their screening? Could you speak into the microphone, please?
Right, yes, I do. The tenants that have had the problems, those were boyfriends that I did not rent to initially, and they came in later, and I didn't find out about it until after.
How often do you visit the property? I mean, that you didn't know that somebody was living there that you didn't rent to? Is that what you're saying?
Right. I didn't,
So how
I
often
didn't
do you
find
visit?
that out right away. Pardon me?
How often then do you
Oh,
visit?
3 times a week. We try to keep the litter up, see what's going on. I don't announce when I come by. Could be 2 times a week.
To
Thank
answer your
you.
question, Chairwoman, we do know that there is a process that we can do screening through the police department, and we'll continue to use that process.
You continue, or you have started already? Have you started already, or is this, because you've owned the property now for about 20 years, am I correct?
Yes.
If you're going to talk, you have to talk in the microphone.
Yes, I do screen them for criminal.
And you have been doing it all along?
Yes, I have.
I don't know if it's been all along, but I do know that since we've been made aware of the complaints and tried to work with them, that she did start going through the screening process. And, you know, to Officer Blatty's comments, have no problem continuing to do that. And believe that's important.
Oh, agreed. Okay, anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Do you guys foresee any other problems? Because I know that area is an area that, you know, there's a lot of complaints all the time.
If I can speak to that, I believe that if we can get Sue to keep on her tenants, screen her tenants, you know, every tenant, If somebody else moves into the apartment that's not on the lease, make it known to her tenants that they're not allowed to move anybody in with, make that an addendum on her lease or whatever. So if they do move somebody in that doesn't fit our criteria, doesn't pass a criminal background check, that's cause for an eviction, and that she act in a quicker manner.
From day one, does a tenant know that they can't have a boyfriend in the house or they live there, or do they know?
I've asked them that question. Is there anybody else? What about the father of your children? Things like that. I've asked people. No, they indicate no. So what they do is they lie to me, and they both have different names. They're not legally married, so it doesn't show up on particularly her. Then I find this out, and then I advise, and then I give them chance after chance to rectify it. You can't have anyone else living here. This says the amount of people, but I try, but
Is it in your lease?
That's what
I can address that.
Yeah. Mr. Thompson, it is in the lease, and we have used it in the past, but then we have to get service on that person because under the law, then they're deemed a tenant even though they're not on the lease, and so it becomes problematic for us in terms of timing because then, of course, they leave, and that's how they try to get around that process. But it is in the lease.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just baffled that it took a year for you to get this tenant out of the building that was causing all these issues.
Right.
That's what concerns me.
Which tenant are you
Well,
talking about?
I don't know, the one you said was causing all the police calls. You said we were told that it's been kind of attributed to one particular person.
The domestic calls were
Any of
from
the calls
3
were-
north and 1 south.
And I don't know the exact nature of why it did take that long, but I've worked with Sue in terms of what the process is for serving the proper notices and so forth going forward to evict those tenants to respond to the police inquiries.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, is there anyone from Kappa here to speak on this?
You're going to have to speak up. I don't think they heard
A
you.
representative from Kappa here to speak on this? Anything you'd like to add, sir?
Thanks, I should have seen that. Good, swear you in. You swear to tell the truth? Your statements to be true?
I do. My name is Bob Knocktree. I'm a board member of CAPA. My address is 614 Western Avenue. I know enough about the eviction process to know that it takes a long time. It has to be initiated, but there are legal procedures that have to be observed. I think the important thing is that the screening be as thorough as it possibly can be, and we are hopeful that this problem is resolved. I don't see what the zoning could do to correct the problem. The 7-unit is, as far as I can tell, a legal 7-unit because it was built long before the ordinance was passed. So I think we have to look at enforcement as the way to solve the problem.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything to say? No? Any other questions by the board? No? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Close the discussion, ask for a vote.
Madam Chair, I'm ready to make a motion here. It seems like this is a people problem, not a building problem or a zoning problem. So I'll move for approval, and I would like to add one condition, that they're involved in the Joliet Police Tenant Screening Program to the conditions.
Okay.
So I move for approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ferguson.
Aye.
Mr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Riggs.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers.
I said this at the last meeting, and I'm going to say it again. As far as I'm concerned, one of the conditions is that if it becomes a public nuisance, we can revisit it. To me, all those calls for service are already a public nuisance, so I'm going to vote no. Okay. Is that all? Next petition?
Next petition.
2017-31?
Yes.
Yeah. Is the petitioner present for that? You probably don't know that
So we are under new business petition number 2017-31. This is for a beauty salon in a B1 neighborhood business use
You're here?
within an R3 1 and 2 family residential district located at 931 North Broadway Street. Petitioner is here.
Thank you. Okay. You can come on up.
Yeah, I'll
Or you can
summarize
sit until he's done reading, and then you can come up.
This is petition 2017-31. Applicant/owner is Taduz Gauran Sr., 931 North Broadway Street, variation of use. Petitioner is requesting a variation of use to allow the addition of a beauty salon, which is a B1 neighborhood business use within an R3 1 and 2 family residential zoning district. Property consists of a 1,520 square foot, 2-story frame structure with a commercial storefront and a rear apartment on the main floor and 2 apartments on the upper level. The lot size is 46.5 by 124.3 or 5,779 square feet. In July of 1991, a variation of use was approved to allow continuation of a trophy store and 2 upper apartments at the site. An additional variation of use was approved in December 2011 to allow conversion of the rear portion of the main level into an additional apartment. A third variation of use was requested by the petitioner to allow continuation of a beauty salon known as Ken's Dollhouse and Beauty Bar in 2015. The request was heard and approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals, but was withdrawn by the applicant prior to the City Council meeting. The site is zoned R3, which is 1 and 2 family residential district, and is part of the established Near West Side Cunningham neighborhood. This case was filed on April 21st, 2017. Surrounding land use and zoning includes single-family residential, which is zoned R2, to the north, south, and west, and commercial, which is zone B3 general business, to the east. The standards for a variation of use are included in the report, as well as the off-street parking regulations. As far as comments from other city departments, governmental agencies, or public utilities, the Community Design Review Board discussed the request at its monthly meeting of November 5th, 2015. There have been no subsequent comments from other city departments or public utilities. Minutes of the November 5th, 2015 meeting are on file with the Planning Division. Again, the petitioner is requesting this variation of use to add a beauty salon within a vacant commercial storefront. The vacant space is approximately 660 square feet or 22 by 30. The existing floor plan includes 2 workspaces, 4 dryers, 2 shampoo bowls, and a seating area, a cashier, a small office space, and a restroom, and there is a floor plan in your packet. Adequate off-street parking for the beauty shop and 3 existing apartments is located at the rear of the site in a paved 10-car parking lot. 5 spaces are required for the apartments, and the remaining 5 spaces are to accommodate the beauty shop customer traffic. Should the zoning board desire to grant a variation of use, the following conditions would be included. 1, that the property owner shall maintain 10 paved off-street parking spaces, and 2, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and possible revocation of the variation of use. That concludes staff's report.
Thank you. I have to swear you in. Do you swear your statements to be true?
Yes.
Okay, can you state your name and address for the record, please?
931 North Broadway Street, Tadeusz Gavron.
Do you have anything to add to what was said, what was read?
I actually have an applicant right now who's interested in renting, and she's present over here.
Okay.
And that's it. I would like to get this going and then, start it the right way. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Do you have any questions for? No? Is anybody out there wishing to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? I have to swear you in too. Do you swear your statements to be true?
Yes.
Will you state your name and address, please, for the record?
Shantae Tate, 22 Hunter Avenue.
I'm going to turn it down a little bit so we can hear. Okay, that's good. All right.
Did you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. Yes, I'm a licensed cosmetologist in this area, and the beauty salon is appropriately designed and is a workable space for a beautician. We just need maybe the parking lot is fine, and just maybe a little bit more parking, but it is a workable space. He's redone the air conditioning, so it's nice to work in. I was just waiting on zoning because I want to work in the right
Sure.
place.
Thank you. Any questions for her? No? Okay. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anybody opposed? Did I see a hand go up?
Yeah, two in the back,
Come on up.
maybe three.
Are you all speaking as a group, or, I mean, are you all a group, or you all have something different to say? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. A little different. Okay. All right, let's swear you in.
Aye,
Swear your statement to be true.
yes.
State your name and address, please.
Rich Serdar, 919 Hickory Street.
Okay. Mr. Serdar, what do you have to say?
I am against this zoning because Moran Street is too narrow. And he's got 10 parking places there for 3 apartments. And according to city ordinance, you have to have 1.5 spaces per unit. So that leaves them 4. And then what about the people that work for the beauty shop? Where they are gonna park? And the customers? Previously, when the place was open as a beauty shop, cars were parking on Moran Street. That's a terrible corner. You can't see anything coming from the left if you're going down. People park there. It's a terrible spot. Okay?
Thank you. Do you have any questions for him? Anybody else? Do you have a plan to expand your parking, or can you,
Basically,
not on the street?
No, basically, I do have 5 parking spaces, and I did listen to your comments to the speaker. And the 5 is requirement, and I do have a 4-unit building there. So, at this moment, I have 5 available parking spaces for the units that's right now, which is 3.5, and the current residents in there, they don't have more than 1 car. So
That's the current residents, but you don't know who's going to come in after that.
If you let me tell, I'm the one who's gonna be doing leases with them. Then I'll be redoing the leases with the future tenants, and then will be no more than 1 parking space for the upstairs and downstairs unit.
Okay. Next. I swear you in, please. Are you both speaking at once, or?
Together, we live in the
Okay.
same home.
Swear your statements to be true?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. State your name and address into the microphone.
Rachel Ventura.
You can do it in that one. Nope, the other one.
Rachel Ventura, 1001 North Broadway.
Patricia McReynolds, 1001 North Broadway.
So, like the last person spoke, I'll just stand up. Moran is very narrow. On top of that, there are some homes that are a little bit further up, like 3 houses up, that do not have parking because they were built before having a driveway or parking or garage. Those residents do park on that street there. And that parking lot is often filled, even though those last 5 spaces there in the back are supposed to be for the front. They are filled on a daily basis. We live directly across the street there. We have a 5-car parking area, and we have had cars towed or threatened to tow because they park all along there. When the trophy shop was there, it wasn't a big deal because there would be one guy come in and pick up a trophy and one guy who worked there. When there was other traffic that's been in there, we've had multiple cars parked all over that area. So it definitely becomes a density issue, as well as you can barely get up and down that road as it is. And there's supposed to be no parking on either side of the street there at the stoplight. There are signs posted. There's supposed to be no trucks going up and down that road. But we constantly have people flying up that road, trucks included, going very quickly. And there have been cars that have been sideswiped there, and it's an issue.
As she said, we have had Dick's Towing come out to tow people out of our driveway that have used the beauty salon that was there in the past. The 4 spots that are for the front, I have seen the employees park in those 4 spots. So when the customers come, there is no place for them to park.
Okay.
And that becomes the issue.
Have any other addition? Sure.
Okay, so the neighbors are right. Only thing is that they were parking there themselves. Until I start saying something, they turn that against me, and I apologize for that. I am actually registered with the Dick's Towing Services, and they're just probably upset because they no longer park there. I said there is fine as long as it's empty, but 5-10 minutes is okay. But they used to park there overnight, and now seems like it's a big deal, but actually it's not. I'm doing everything by law, which is improving the parking spaces. I do have a five available for the front, and I do have a Dick's Towing available. If somebody properly parks there, it's gonna be just moved out of there. And the personnel who work there in the beauty shop, well, I did not know what the standards are. As long as he worked it out with me and with the tenants, that was in the past. Now I decide to improve everything, and everything's up to the date.
Thank you. Yes. Would you like to speak? Come on up. I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear your statements to be true?
Yes.
You speak into the microphone.
Deanna Serdar, 919 North Hickory Street. Been there 55 years. I've seen our neighborhood sliced up by people that are coming in, buying buildings that don't live in our area. Now, I would believe that on your thing it said we're residential 1 and 2 apartments. He already put a 3rd apartment that was granted to him already. I think he's pushing us too far. That, you know, where does he live? Does he live in our area? Is he going to have call Dick's to haul these cars out? It's dangerous at that corner. You have to come and see the whole street. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Do you have something a little bit different to say?
Somewhat. John Sheridan, President, Cunningham Neighborhood Council. We discussed this
Oh, I
situation.
need to swear you in. You swear your statements to be true.
Sure. We discussed this at our neighborhood meeting, June 7th, whatever that Wednesday was. And this is a topic with a lot of people. So you only got a few people showed up today, but there's a lot of neighbors that are also in opposition to the business going there for parking, traffic. I run by that area 3 days a week or so, ride my bike in that area. You're always seeing violators up and down that road, even the U.S. mailman. When I asked him about it, he said, call my boss. And I did. But he parks right there in the corner, which is a hazard. But obviously, you got to deliver mail, but there's a problem in that street already. Okay?
Thank you. Okay, I think I'm going to close this and ask.
I'd like to ask the
Oh, I'm
lady
sorry.
back up again.
Okay.
Ma'am, could you come back up? I have a couple questions for you. You've already been sworn in, so how many chairs will you have operating at your shop, ma'am?
Only one.
One chair.
I do know the previous cosmetologist that they were speaking on, and it was multiple chairs. But if he can rent solely to one stylist, the 5 parking spaces should be enough, even for a busy cosmetologist. At the most, I only have 2 people at a time, but the most 3, and I don't have a shampoo tech yet. So say if I had a shampoo tech and I had 3 people sitting, that's 5 people. That is enough for one cosmetologist. So if he can rent to just one stylist and say you can only have 1 chair, it is fine. But if he wants to do multiple, if the person is taking advantage and have multiple chairs, it probably would have an issue. But one stylist alone, coming and going, they shouldn't have that many people at one time.
See, the point I'm making, and I understand these people's problem, but it's that way already, and we can't take it out on you, is my point. You're setting up a business. Everything there is according to what it should be as far as our position here, other than the traffic problem, which is, once again, it's a police problem. It's not your problem. You're not bringing this here. It sounds like it's already here to me. So that's why I want to ask you how many people you'll have there and how many chairs you're going to be operating. So,
Yeah, it would be me solely. Okay?
Denise, I have a question for Mike. Mike, can we work with something related to parking here that would say a signage or something that says reserved for tenants only, reserved for?
Absolutely. You have the ability with a variation of use to place conditions, and there were several noted in the report. If you wanted to add a condition that there's already a condition that the owner maintain 10 paved off-street
Right.
parking spaces, you could either add a different condition or just modify that one to state that signage shall be included, restricting to tenant versus customer parking or something like that. We could word something.
That out? Okay. That's all right with you?
Yes, sir.
So if maybe I'll take a stab at it. You would modify, if you make a motion, the condition number 1 could read that the property owner shall maintain 10 paved off-street parking spaces with, and signed accordingly to be tenant or customer parking spaces.
Fine.
Does that work? We may tweak that a little bit.
Yeah, could you have like 5 for the tenant and 5 for the
If you want
business?
to be that specific, we could do that as well.
There's a question in the back, Denise.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes, and I will do that.
I wanted to point out that first, this is definitely not against her business. Right now, there's not been a business for the last 2 years, and we have these problems now with no one in that business. So what we're saying is, when the business opens, even if she has the 3 people there and 2 employees, that's 5 spots already. It's already packed on that road and in that parking spot, and it's got signage. It really does have signage all over that area, so.
Problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other? Okay, one more thing.
I want to apologize deeply to my neighbors, and I do my best to provide quiet environment and limit the parking spaces to where everyone will be comfortable and there'll be no traffic.
I have a question. How long have you owned that property?
I am I own that building since 2006, but I used to manage 100 apartment buildings for a landlord. And, well, this is different because it's got that it's a residential commercial. So as we speak, I'm still learning, and I'm actually up to date as we speak. You know, everything is ready to go. Like the lady said, it's been vacant because I've been prepping everything, and then the past tenants, I had to. They majority of them moved out, and the new ones, we modified their leases so I can provide everyone with their parking space designated according to the 10 parking space allowed.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to close the petition and ask for motion.
Motion to approve with the additions of the sign.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson?
Aye.
Ms. Powers?
No, I agree. I think there's a problem there already. Sorry. No.
So that motion passes. This case will then move on to the city council.
Thank you so much.
Okay, 2017-32, Antonio, I'm never going to say this right, Saquicella?
Saki Sela.
Okay, you're
This
here.
is-
Okay, to proceed with the,
Yes, this is petition number 2017-32, Antonio Lopez Saquicella, who is also the owner, for 1306 Chorus Street, a request for a front yard setback variation for an enclosed porch. The applicant is requesting a variation to reduce the minimum required front yard setback for an R2 single-family residential zoning district from 30 feet to 14.8 feet in order to enclose an existing roofed porch. The lot is 50 by 132, or 6,600 square feet. It contains a single-family home that was built in 1925. The property is zoned R-2 single-family residential. The petition was filed on May 10th of 2017. Surrounding zoning and land use is single-family residential R-2 in all directions. The applicable regulations are for yard and lot requirements, as well as the section of our ordinance dealing with findings of fact for supporting a variation. Comments from other city departments, governmental agencies, or public utilities. The Community Design Review Board met at its monthly meeting of June 1st, 2017. There were no comments made concerning this request. The requested variation will allow the petitioner to enclose a 20 by 9 foot existing roofed porch. The petitioner wants to enclose the porch to help prevent water from entering the basement. The porch currently has a low brick wall around the perimeter and a brick column on each corner. The petitioner plans to add a door and 2 windows to the front of the porch and 1 window on each side. The remaining exterior will be covered with vinyl siding. The front yard setback to the porch is 14.8 feet. Other homes on the block have similar setbacks. A plat of survey and elevation drawings are attached, and that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. Raise your right hand. Do you swear your statements to be true?
Yes.
State your name and address, please.
Antonio Lopez Aquisela, 1306 Cora Street.
Do you have anything to add?
No, that's...
That was it, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
Anybody have any questions? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone opposed? I'll close the petition and ask for discussion and a vote. Motion is in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson?
Aye.
Mr. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. Darling? Oh, Ms. Powers?
Aye. Thank you. We have petition 2017-33. Mr. Petrie?
This is petition 2017-33. Applicant and owner is Mike Petrie with Mid Central Enterprises for 66 through 74 and 76 North Chicago Street. The petitioner is requesting a special use permit to allow the addition of 35 apartment units within 2 existing vacant buildings in the B2 Central Business Zoning District, and variances from the city's planned unit development requirement and lot area per family requirement from 2,500 square feet to 431 square feet. This is a 5-story brick and stone building located at 66 through 76 North Chicago Street, the Barber Building. It's on a 66 by 165 or 10,890 square foot site, and contains a multi-tenant office space that is currently vacant. The existing 3-story brick building at 76 North Chicago Street is located on a 44 by 100 or 4,400 square foot site, and currently contains a vacant multi-tenant retail and office space. The petitioner is currently in negotiations with the city on a redevelopment agreement for both buildings. The property is Zone B-2 Central Business District. This case was filed on May 9th of 2017. Property in question is surrounded by a mix of commercial, office, and residential uses that are also Zone B2. Applicable regulations include special uses for the B2 district, planned unit development regulations, and yard and lot requirements of the R-5 district. And also findings of fact for supporting a variation are referenced in the report. Comments from other city departments, governmental agencies, and public utilities. The Community Design Review Board met at its monthly meeting of June 1st, 2017, and there were no comments made concerning the petition. The requested special use permit and variations on the PUD and lot area per family requirement will allow the petitioner to renovate the 2 vacant buildings on Chicago Street with a total of 35 new apartments, and there are floor plans included in your packet. The Barber Building at 66 North Chicago Street will have 32 apartments on floors 2 through 5 with a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units. The first floor will maintain some available office space, and the remaining space will be converted to interior parking for 10 cars. A garage door is being proposed along the front of the building facing Chicago Street. The building at 76 North Chicago Street will include 2 one-bedroom apartments on the 2nd floor and an efficiency apartment on the 3rd floor. The first floor will remain as retail space. An elevator will be installed to accommodate accessibility requirements within the building. The buildings will connect by way of a shared hallway, and there is a floor plan again for on the 2nd floor. Approval of the special use permit request should not negatively affect the surrounding area. Additionally, the petitioner is not proposing any changes to the footprint of the building and has submitted conceptual floor plans that justify the waiver of the PUD and lot area per family requirements. If the zoning board is inclined to approve the requested special use permit and the variations, the following conditions would be included. 1, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and a possible revocation of the special use permit. And that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. Raise your right hand. You swear your statements to be true.
I do.
State your name and address, please.
Michael Petrie, 960 Western. Michael Petrie, 960 Western.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add?
No, I think he summarized it perfectly.
Any questions by the board? No? I have a question. What's your target? Who are you marketing this to? Are you going to be, I mean, is it college students? What's it going to be marketed to?
You know, that's a common question, and it's a common, I would almost say, misconception that the answer would be college students. I mean, as you know, I already have 10 apartments down the street with the Monroe project that was completed in '05. I have 18 condos, 2 of which were sold officially. 1 is on contract. 15 still are under my ownership. They're fully rented. And the Lewis Joliet apartments I'm in the process of purchasing. And we actually almost don't ever get a college student. I don't know why everybody thinks we should. I would be more than happy if, when my phone rang, that it was a college student and they wanted to rent and had sufficient income, but I don't ever get those calls. I just get regular people that I just put a couple in. I don't know where they're from exactly, somewhere in the near west suburbs. Family, they have a baby. They just are in the process of having a second baby. They're about 30 years old. They very much like downtown living, and they find this very affordable to live in Joliet. And they like the woman likes to be able to take her children down the street to the library or around the corner to the supermarket or the corner store. So it just those are the people that call me if they income qualify. I rent to them, and you know there's continues to be a strong market for apartments.
And you do use the tenant screening process by the Joliet Police
In my other
Department?
buildings, I actually don't.
I believe that's a requirement, isn't it not?
Yeah. I'm going to
Is that not a
testify
requirement?
I'm not able to
honestly.
answer that. If you,
I
Kendall,
think
do
it's
you
a
know?
requirement if you sign up for it, but
I think it's a requirement if you ask for a variation of it, for any kind of, if you come before the zoning board, it's.
You can-
oh, well, then I certainly would.
You can make that a condition.
Thank you. What's who are the 10 spaces, the garage parking going to be for? Are you renting that space out, or?
Well, there would be space behind the building for,
Right, but didn't you say there were 10, like, indoor spaces?
yeah, the theory is, I mean, the biggest challenge here, sound familiar, right, is parking. So the objective here is to be able to offer. Now, Steve mentioned we had a meeting with the mayor and a couple councilmen on Tuesday, and Steve has some other ideas for parking. I'm always open for more ideas for parking. But as of right now, I've been forced to try to utilize the 4,000 square feet of center retail that's empty to try to offer the tenants additional parking. And of course, there'd be a lot of value there in having indoor parking.
Yeah.
Also, eliminating the boiler room behind the building would allow additional spaces, and I've, in the process of that, that's part of the plan. But other than that, opening up Chicago Street, if it gets wider, there's going to be spaces in front of the building. Perhaps that's where Steve is going with some of his ideas. But I continue to be working on that problem.
Thank you.
Of course, the city decks are the backup.
That's your backup.
Yeah, and that's within the overall request in the development agreement is for 30 more parking spaces in the city decks. It's about a 2.5 block walk, though.
No question?
One more question, Mike. Will you be doing any renovations to the first floor where the retail space is, or will that remain just as is? Or?
Yeah, no, there'll be a fair amount of renovation. If you can see there, I know they're in front of your computers, but this is the Barber building right here. So the 4,000 square feet center would be the parking. Of course, we'd be removing a safe and doing some other things. That's a big safe, right? Well, that's actually the future, that's the future stairway. There's a safe there today. But this south end of the building, where the Whitendorf Judge Pence office is paneled in 1940s walnut. It's very, very beautiful with some large bank vaults in it. My plan in there is to just remove the drop ceiling that's pretty old and the carpet that is aged, to take the tin ceiling that is in the center, 4,000 square feet, and transfer it over. So my objective is to have a ceiling very similar to Tin Roof. I'm sure hopefully you've been to. That's my restaurant, and have a tin ceiling in that. And then there's the 76 building that I've already gutted that. I've gutted the parking area here. You call it the parking area. I've gutted 76, and I'm in the process of sandblasting all the tin and laying the tin ceiling out. So the answer is yes, but ceilings in one case and complete in the other.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Do you do Section 8 at all in those?
No, and I don't take any Section 8. I will be taking Section 8 when Louis Joliet goes online, but as I do not plan to do any Section 8 in this. This is a slightly higher end product.
Anybody out there wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone opposed? Can't see. No? Okay. Close the petition and ask for discussion and a vote, please.
Motion to approve.
Second?
And can I just clarify for the record, are you adding any additional conditions, or are you living
I
with
don't
the-
believe that I can. Somebody else
You can add a condition, Bill?
about the tenant screening?
I think
Yeah,
the
we should
tennis,
do that.
yeah, the tennis should be screened.
So the condition would be added that the
Participate in the,
that participate in the City of Joliet tenant screening program through the police department.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson?
aye.
Mr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Powers?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, petition 2017-34, and this is Madison Lodge.
Actually, there's 2017-28, I believe, is ahead of
Isn't that
that.
old business?
Oh, you're,
That's old business, correct? That's
uh,
how it's listed on mine.
where are we at? I'm sorry, you're correct. 2017-34, the applicant is Matson Lodge, number 175, AF and AM. They're also the property owner. This is at 350 North Midland Avenue. It's a variation to allow an LED electronic message center sign. The petitioner is requesting the variation to allow installation of an LED electronic message center on a new monument-style sign at 350 North Midland Avenue. The .98 acre property is zoned R-4 low-density multifamily residential district. The case was filed on May 10th of 2017. Surrounding zoning and land use is R1 single-family to the north, east, and west, and R4 single-family residential to the south. The property, as you may know, is the Masonic Lodge on Midland Avenue. Applicable regulations include Section 47-17.21 signs, and also the section of our ordinance pertaining to criteria for granting a variation. Comments from city departments, governmental agencies, or public utilities. The Community Design Review Board met on June 1st of 2017, and there was no discussion concerning this request. The approval of the requested variation will allow an LED electronic message center sign to be installed on a new 8-foot-tall monument-style sign located at Matson Lodge number 175 at 350 North Midland Avenue. The proposed 2 by 6 foot or 12 square foot LED electronic message center will be two-sided and full color. 3 foot 11 inch by 8 foot approximately 31 square foot internally illuminated sign panel will be located above the LED message center. The area of the overall sign is approximately 43.33 square feet, not including the base, and we have attached a sign elevation. As currently shown on the submitted sign elevation, the base would be constructed of a hard foam material, which is intended to simulate the look of real stone. And I'll just add for the record that before the meeting, we distributed a revised sign elevation to the zoning board, which now shows the base being made of a real brick masonry material to match the building. That was a condition of staff, and they have in fact made that decision to change that. According to the submitted sketch site plan, the leading edge of the new sign will be 19 feet from the street curb, thus complying with the 10-foot setback from the property line. The text on the electronic message center will need to be slow-moving in order not to create a distraction for vehicular traffic in the area. The new electronic message center will be utilized to promote special events for the organization. If the zoning board desires to approve the variance, the following conditions are included, and these are fairly standard. 1, that the text shall be slow-moving, 1 flip every 10 seconds maximum, and 2, the LED electronic message center shall include dimming capability, which will be utilized to not produce nighttime glare. And 3, that the base be constructed of real brick to match the building, and obviously they've shown you that today. and 4, that a sign permit is required. And that concludes staff's recommendation, or report.
Thank you. Is somebody here for Madison Lodge? I didn't ask that. Is it Madison or Madison? Madison. Swear you in? You swear your statements to be true?
Yes.
Okay, state your name and address for the...
My name is Lou Klein. I live at 520 Danny Drive in Sherwood.
Okay. Are you speaking to, sir?
Kelly Fosberg from Great Sign Company,
Okay.
700 Westridge.
Do you swear your statements to be true?
I do.
Okay. Go ahead. Did you have anything to add?
I don't think we have anything to add. We just can answer any questions.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for them?
Yes, tell me about the Madison Lodge, please.
Lou can tell you that.
All right. Can you tell me about your lodge? I'm just curious.
What's on at your lodge, Lou?
Yeah.
Well, the physical building itself houses 7 groups associated with Masonic orders, 2 lodges, a ladies group called the Eastern Star, a youth group, both male and female, boys group D. Malay, and the girls group Job's Daughters. And there's also a shrine club that meets there, which you do come up for the shrine breakfast, right? Yeah, I got a yes for that, no. And the commandery and a couple other groups there.
Thank you.
Busy building.
Any other questions?
Will the sign have limiters on it as far as shutdown at night? Dimmers at night?
Yes, it's part of the circuitry that's already in the building, yes. That was planned for that.
Not in the building, on the sign itself.
Yes, it will.
My error, the sign.
Anybody else? Anybody out there wishing to speak in favor of this petition? See, anybody opposed? Okay, we'll close the petition. Oh, I know, I need to ask. What's the status of the moratorium? I should have asked you that before we went through all this.
So that was discussed at the last Land Use and Legislative Committee, and the city's attorney was going to propose a moratorium of some amount to be presented to a future city council meeting. To my knowledge, it's not on the very next council agenda. However, I will note for the record that staff will be reaching out to, the purpose of the moratorium, by the way, was to give staff a pause, a timeout, to not take in any new applications such as this, to make sure we are doing what we can to regulate signs according to what council directs us to do, and also to come back with maybe best practices. So, for example, right now we put a condition typically that there be dimming controls. We might be more specific about what that might be. And we're going to reach out to the various sign companies in the area and have a roundtable with them in the next few weeks, and also invite the companies that actually manufacture the LED technology. So we understand the proper nomenclature and how to regulate these and do it maybe in a reasonable way that will satisfy the city council.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and vote on this. Can I ask for a motion, please?
So motion to approve?
Is there-
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ferguson?
Aye.
Mr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Ms. Powers?
Aye. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
We have under old business 2017-28 Gary Mueller, who is the attorney for John and Marcia Grabavoy. Here.
So this is petition 2017-28, and it was tabled at the last meeting and brought back for consideration today. The applicant is Gary Mueller for the property owners John and Marcia Grabavoy. This is for 1301 North Broadway Street, a special use permit to allow an appliance resale store. An appliance resale store is a special use permit in the B3 General Business District. This property is for a vacant commercial space that was, or spaces I should say, formerly occupied by Urbisec Insurance Agency, The Meeting Place, which was a banquet facility, and Barton Staffing Solutions, located at the northwest corner of Broadway Street and Frank Avenue, commonly known as 1301 North Broadway. The property is approximately 0.42 acres and is zoned B3 General Business District. The property is improved with a one-story, approximately 7,328 square foot commercial building, which was again occupied by those agencies. This case was filed on March 22nd of 2017. Surrounding zoning is to the north and east B3 General Business District. To the north is actually a detached single family, and then to the east is open space, the Broadway Greenway. To the south is B3 General Business District, which is also detached single family residential. And then to the west is R2, which is one and family residence district, detached single family residential. Applicable regulations include special uses for resale shops and also the criteria for issuing a special use permit. The comments from other city departments and government agencies or public utilities. The Community Design Review Board considered this application at their May 4th, 2017 meeting. There was no discussion concerning the request. The City of Joliet zoning ordinance provides that resale shops are a special use in the B3 General Business District. The petitioner is requesting this special use, again, for an appliance resale store in the existing one-story, 7,328 square foot building. The applicant has indicated that the business will employ 3 people, although typically not at the same time. The applicant estimates that there will be approximately 5 to 15 customers per day. The zoning ordinance requires 1 parking space for each 200 square feet of gross floor area for retail uses. Therefore, the 7,328 square foot building requires 37 parking spaces. The existing paved parking lot is not fully striped, but staff estimates that it will accommodate parking for approximately 24 vehicles. And if the actual parking demand for the business exceeds the existing parking supply, there is room to expand the parking lot on the grass portions of the property that front Broadway Street, as noted in the photograph. If the zoning board desires to approve this special use permit, the following conditions would be included. 1, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and possible revocation of the special use permit. 2, that the special use granted shall herein terminate and lapse unless a building permit or certificate of occupancy is obtained not later than 180 days of the effective date of this ordinance, and the erection or alteration of a building is started or the use is commenced within such period. And I won't read the rest of the language, but that's all pretty standard language for that condition. 3, that the business must meet all applicable building and inspectional services division requirements. 4, that the applicant shall apply for a business license as required. 5, that there shall be no outdoor display and no outdoor storage of any goods or materials. And 6, that all signage shall comply with the sign provisions of the zoning ordinance and municipal code of ordinances. And that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. You want to come forward? I need to swear you in. Are you all going to speak? Or,
We'll answer whatever questions you have.
okay, so we'll swear you all in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear your statements to be true?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. If you state your name and address for us, please.
Gary Mueller, attorney, 91 North 129th Infantry Drive here in Joliet.
Chad Grabavoy, 10 Dinosaur Road, Wilmington.
Marcia Grabavoy, 10 Dinosaur Road in Wilmington.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add?
Really, first and foremost, we just want to thank staff. They did an absolutely wonderful job. They were very accommodating to us. They were the ones who suggested that we come back in with the 3rd PIN number. We hadn't included it to start with simply because we weren't expecting to need to use the whole building. We really appreciate their help and assistance. We are amenable to all of the conditions that they listed, and we hope that you'll allow for an approval.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions? I don't think there's anybody else out there to speak in favor. Oh, there is. I'm sorry. I didn't see back there. I thought you were gone. There you go. Sorry.
Leftovers, kind of waiting for it. Welcome to the neighborhood, good use of the building. And I do see the requirements that are in there for signage. With all due respect, some of those A-frame signs you have, looks like my granddaughter, about 4 years old, painted them. So Broadway is a central, Broadway is a central area coming into town. So if you put a nice signage out there, gratefully appreciate it. But yeah, welcome to neighborhood, good use of the building. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. No discussion? Close the petition and ask for a discussion and a vote, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson?
Aye.
Ms. Powers?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And just a reminder, this will go to the city council with a recommendation of approval. And I'll be in touch with you on the date.
Date of that, Mike.
July 5th is what I'm told.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned. We're done. It's done.
Good job, Denise.
Yeah.